He's going to need to be able to be mobile. That's not happening. Is critical for how these animals swim. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We have a new alligator. Look at this cute little guy. So this is our newest little rescue alligator. And if you're looking at him thinking, well, that looks like a good looking alligator, why does he need rescuing? He's got a little nub butt. Look at that little thing right there. So yeah, he is missing the end of his tail, and we don't know.
Not just the end of his tail.
Well, he's missing the tail. Yeah, he's just got the base of the tail really. I mean, he is literally like an inch and a half away from the cloaca, and if it had been there, he would die. You know, he wouldn't be able to go to the bathroom, you know, and so that would have killed him. So he actually got really lucky right there. Well, lucky, you know, subjective here, but yeah, so he's missing the end of his tail. So he was brought to us by our trapper friends. You're okay, little guy. And so he was actually a nuisance gator going after fishing lures. And if you're like, oh, a little guy like that's a nuisance, well, you know, people are even afraid of little ones like this. We get calls for nuisance gators that are small, and they don't stay small forever. So, you know, sometimes people do call them in like that. But either way, usually when we get a little one like this, we just relocate it. Except with that, he is not going to live. I have seen several small alligators like this with little nub butts like that. I've never seen an adult like this in the wild. In captivity, yes, where people take care of them, of course. But in the wild, I've never seen one like that actually survive to adulthood. So as a little guy, he's actually healthy. He's got a good body condition because at this size, he's hunting smaller things, little frogs, little fish, things that he can catch in the shallows. But as he gets larger, he's going to need to catch bigger prey. He's going to need to be able to be mobile. That's not happening. So the tail is critical for how these animals swim. So when they go to, oh, you're okay. He's still wild, so he does want to bite me. Look at him. Oh, you're okay. You're okay. So when they go to swim with any speed, they will tuck their arms and legs against the body and rely entirely on the tail. I've done a couple videos showing this underwater with other alligators. So they do need their tail. If they can't, I mean, they really, as an adult, he's not going to survive without the tail. So the first thing everybody says when they see that, get him a prosthetic tail. I saw this one article on Google that had an alligator with prosthetic tail. Yes, that has been done one time, and it cost $6,000 to do it. And if we did that and did the $6,000, it would last him probably about 6 months. He's a baby. He's growing. So that would make sense once he reaches more of an adult size and his growth becomes more stable. But right now, he's a baby, and he's going to hopefully grow very quickly, and the prosthetic would not make any sense. Within 6 months, it's going to be useless. We'd have to do a new one. So we have no current plans of doing any sort of prosthetic for this animal. It just would not make any sense whatsoever financially to do $6,000 every 6 months as he grows. It doesn't make any sense. And also not really necessary because we just built him a really awesome enclosure. So check this out. So he has a 300-gallon tub, and so we did a little log up there. He can get out, he can bask in the sun. We put a lot of plants in here, make him feel happy and safe. He really likes hanging out in the plants. Since he is a baby animal, he is afraid of a lot of things, as he should be. Little gators are prey for many different animals. A great blue heron would eat him, you know, owls, other alligators, a raccoon. Believe it or not, a raccoon would catch an alligator this size and still kill it and eat it. So he is prey. So we want to give him a lot of nice hiding places. On the larger animals, they do like to hide to be able to ambush and hunt, but they don't need to hide to feel more safe. Little guys do, you know, so we want him to feel safe in here and be able to hide out. Now, also, his feet. So in this enclosure, we're trying to build this where it's not going to cause a lot of stress on his feet. Normally, for a normal alligator with a full tail, a lot of their weight is displaced on the back of the tail. It's kind of like having a tripod back there to balance on, you know? So when they're walking, that's absorbing a lot of their weight. He doesn't have that. His tail doesn't even touch the ground. So for him to walk, all of his weight is going onto his little feet right here. And so that is going to lead to a lot of stress on the joints, on the feet, and arthritis for him. So that's why we have a very limited amount of land in here for him. Enough he can get out, he can bask, everything like that, but we don't want him walking around too much since his weight is not going to be properly distributed.
And we do talk about this all the time. Alligators in captivity, they all kind of suffer from some level of arthritis. So for an animal like this that's missing a tail, he's definitely more prone, and as a baby, he's definitely more prone.
Yeah, so we want to be careful with that. This is also, this is going to be his enclosure for probably the next couple of years. And then as he gets larger, he's going to get a full pond too. You know, so we will build him a full pond, big habitat like the other ones as he gets bigger. My fear is that he doesn't have very much upward mobility if he goes to swim without the tail. So far, as we've watched him in here, he can move around perfectly fine in this water. But if he's going to go to swim up in the water column, I don't know if he can very well. Maybe he can. We don't know yet. We haven't put him in deep water really, so we don't really know yet. But if he has a hard time swimming up, we don't want him to drown. You know, so that's kind of the fear right there. So we are being careful on that. Now, as far as the tail goes, what happened? We don't know. This is how he came in. We are guessing this is likely, this looks very well healed, and this alligator, based on his size, is probably around 3 years old, give or take a year. Now, you've probably heard me say a lot of times, you can't tell how old an alligator is, blah, blah, blah. That's true as an adult. But for babies, on a normal growth rate, they usually grow, we're using a lot of subjective terms here, they usually, normally grow, generally speaking, about a foot a year for the first like 4 or 5 years or so like that. So with this little guy, he's probably around 3 years old. Now, if this is an animal that had a very, well, he did have a stressful life, but if he had really poor nutrition, things like that, this gator could literally be 10 years old even at that size still. We really don't know. That is my guess based on his size and what normal ones of this size would be. As they get older, then you really don't know, because then you're also getting into male female size differences, things like that, and like you really don't have a clue once you start getting up into real size. But for smaller animals, it's a lot easier to make that guess. Anyways, this looks like it's been healed for years and years. I would assume this is an injury. I don't think he hatched out of the egg with this.
No, I don't think so either, because of the slight regeneration. Also, I've seen gators that were born without it, and it's a lot shorter and super, super round.
Yeah.
So that looks like an injury.
And now Gabby just said regeneration. This is important. So you may have seen articles going around recently about how alligators can regenerate their tails. It just became a big thing. There's a lot of articles talking about it. I personally feel that those articles were very misleading. I think people kind of ran with that as if it meant regenerating their tails like a lizard can, like how a lizard can grow its tail back. That's not happening with these guys. They can regenerate this little tiny nub, and so if it was cut right here, so far he's got like 1/4 of an inch of regeneration. Okay?
That is regeneration.
So that's what we're saying here. And then over time, I could see this, we're gonna find out. I could see this extending out and regenerating to come out like maybe this far even. I've seen that where it becomes like almost like a paddle shape. And so that's really cool to help them be able to swim. It's a really cool thing. It is a form of regeneration. But as soon as you say regeneration, people think that means completely regrowing. That's like if I lost my arm and I'm like, oh, Chris can regenerate his arm and I have a finger sticking out of my shoulder. That is a form of regeneration, but I didn't grow my whole arm back. That's why I think it's a little misleading when they have all these articles about like, oh, alligators regenerate their tails. And it's like, well, he wants to bite. They regenerate that little tiny bit, but they're not growing the whole tail back, just like you can't grow your whole, or anything back on a human. But let's just say you grew a finger out of your shoulder. It's not regenerating your arm, okay? All right, so he's getting a little bit upset, so we're gonna go ahead and let him go back in here, and we have some food for him, so we'll add that in too. All right, so we have some fish here, so we got some shiners we'll go ahead and add in here. And I don't know if he'll even be able to catch them, to be honest with you. It's a lot of water, so we'll see. I do feel really bad because they are alive, and we do not like to do live feedings, but in this case, he's very small, they're little fish. I don't think he's even gonna catch them. But we're gonna try it out. We're gonna see how he does in here with these things. And then we'll also be feeding him, you know, some frozen thawed whole prey too. We've also got crickets. So the crickets, I think we can just add in. They're gonna be on the log and in the vegetation, and he'll be able to find these on his own. All of them?
Yeah, I was only 15.
Okay.
So then he can go and hunt. This is what he would be eating in the wild, so. Do you want to talk about your theory with metabolic bone disease and, you know, smaller gators?
So this is my theory. This is just me purely speculating here. But
Emu.
Emu. What are you doing? Look at this. What is that? Does not like it. So just me purely speculating here. I think a lot of captive baby alligators and alligators that are raised in captivity from babies experience a lot of metabolic bone disease and other associated issues because they are fed a diet that is heavy in like raw, whole, or not whole, but raw meat, like especially red meat, raw chicken, things that they would never catch on their own at this size, you know? Now again, this is my theory. I don't know this, you know, I'm just guessing here, but that's kind of my theory so far. Is I think that a lot of them, I mean, if you're raising up a baby alligator and it's eating like steak and stuff, like that's obviously completely not normal or natural for them. And it's not bad to do every once in a while, you know, and we do training with him. We're going to give him, you know, pieces of raw chicken too. But at that size, he is mainly supposed to be eating in the wild little fish, minnows, crickets, frogs, things like that. Small little thing. The emu wants to get these crickets. It is just, it's like hissing at them. Look at him, look at him.
You really are gonna eat a cricket?
He's hissing at the crickets.
But that's not a cricket.
But yeah, anyways, what I was saying though is just that, yeah, they, in the wild, they would be eating, you know, these kind of small little creatures that don't really have meat on them. You know what I mean? So like, that's again my personal theory, but I think that probably contributes a lot to the just propensity for MBD in a lot of captive raised small crocodilians.
There he is. I wonder if he sees the little cricket. Why are you here? You can see his little eyes. Oh, he just went down.
I accidentally hit my phone.
Is he checking everything out, or you think he's trying to hunt?
I think he's just checking things out. He'll probably hunt when we're not here. He'll feel more comfortable.
So we need to give our big gator, our 11.4 gator Dino, medicine today. So you could see all of that on Chris's personal channel, Gator Chris. We haven't even introduced the two big gators on this channel yet, but we go way into detail on Chris's channel. We got two big gators. Both of them are sick. We have a 10.2 that was hit by a car and an 11.4 that was so sick we thought he was going to die. So we've been giving him antibiotic injections. We had a vet come out. He's actually doing pretty well. So we are going to start draining his pond right now to give him his injections.
Look, little tadpole's up on his log. I think he's trying to hunt the crickets. Nope. And I scared him. But I think he's up trying to hunt the crickets because it's nighttime, so not like he's basking.